All right. We have returned. It's since it's technically springtime. I don't know if I'm allowed to. Am I legally allowed to use a mug that says "Warm Winter Wishes"? Wow, no. Cheers to you all. Coming in from Voivode Kohotek. With your raid, we are just getting the workshop going again after a bit of a break. And me pondering if can I still offer warm winter wishes in the springtime? And Commissar Nya. Welcome, Nya. Commissar, would you like your Hello Cutie gun, Nya? Commissar, it's so adorable they'll bleed pink, Nya. Hell yeah, you can offer warm winter wishes all year long. All right, Voivode, thank you very much. Let me get a shout out over to you here. To Voivode Kohotek. Hey, spelled it right. The first time here. All right. I like the dances. I like the raves going on here. You love your Kawaii Corpo branded guns. Cyberpunk is great. There we go. Commissar Nya, you are absolutely getting into it here. This is the cutest pistol on the market from Sanru. So if you're not wielding a Sanru Hello Cutie, are you even doing the shooty? Are they 3D printed cheap guns, or is there love in the pink paint? I think this is a name brand. I don't think this is a 3D print at home. So for all of you coming over from Voivode Kohotek, if you found yourself lurking here from other parts of Twitch, this is a Thursday night, so I know where a fair chunk of people tend to hang out who like role-playing. Thursdays on Twitch. I have a hunch. I prefer my guns made from fish bones and teeth, says Voivode. Spoken like a true orc. All right. Now, we were talking about storytelling. We're talking about storytelling in Cyberpunk. And that the book itself offers the setting. You can read all about it. There's wikis. You can play Cyberpunk 2077. There's all sorts of stuff you can do to sink yourself into the setting. And if you don't like Night City, you don't want to play in it, make your very own city. That would be a fun exercise to do sometime as well. What would it be like to make our own cyberpunk city? And I suppose if this is ever something you all would like to come back to, then we can. There's nothing saying that once this week ends, I can never talk about Cyberpunk Red again. It's just that I have apportioned this time specifically for Cyberpunk Red. But if this fascinates you and you go, oh, I would love a non-Night City setting for a story, and you want to know how do you build a city, I could even touch on that in Vampire the Masquerade. Because in Vampire the Masquerade, very specifically, you either make up your own city or you give a city you know the World of Darkness treatment. Commissar Nya says, I love Cyberpunk the genre. Cyberpunk the setting is something I've never touched on, really. I love Shadowrun and Interface Zero. Well, I hope you'll find our storytelling techniques will... they don't require you to have knowledge a ton about the city, especially because as a storyteller, any part of the city can be what you want it to be. Although, Raven, are you out there? Because on the topic of Vampire the Masquerade, I wanted to bring something up with you. Yo, says Raven. All right. I'm intending on running VTM in August. Actually, that August, the date for that is at the end of August, meaning that I guess the meetup here in town that a lot of you have planned yourselves, that meetup might already be finished. But what I think would be fun if you can make it, or you can have the time away from your own abode, I would like to go to Cleveland, and if you bring your camera, I would like to get some photos of Cleveland that we could turn into interesting scenes for Vampire the Masquerade. Though that said, we might have to do it before August. It might have to be sometime in July, just to make sure everything is prepped and ready. But yeah, if you want to go, shoot some locations, I think that would be a lot of fun. If you bring your camera, let's go and give the World of Darkness treatment to Cleveland in preparation for August. Kittybird says that pistol there is totally the opposite of what Ramon would use. And what would Ramon's look like? Would it have a bunch of bumper stickers all over it? Would it actually be the print it yourself style? What would she use? Fluffy Sheep says, I find this gun strangely appealing. Hi, Azazel. Always need some dingy and poorly lit alleys for World of Darkness. Yep, so I have a plan for World of Darkness. I would like, if Raven is available, I'd like to bring her along on an adventure. 3D printed, spray painted with anarchy symbols. But yeah, we could go, if you're good with low light shooting, we could find, I'm sure we could find all kinds of things. So, yes. All right, we have a couple months to plan it, but I think we're definitely gonna need a plan by June, so we could maybe get it done in July, so it's ready for August. Rosewolf, you'd want a purple. You know, everyone, just so you know, just as much as I talk about friendly local game stores, if none of you have ever been to a gun store, you should hopefully find it to have almost the same vibe and energy, the welcoming, the answering questions, where they want to teach people and they want to encourage, responsibility and all this. Hopefully you'll find that at your friendly local gun store as well. You all can get your guns powder coated or painted or something. Like every gun that if you want to get one for your own personal, for recreation, for target shooting, as like a hobby, or you want to get it for personal protection or something, you can customize your guns. It doesn't have to be just plain generic black looking. You can get them pink. You can get them green. You could put stickers on them. You can do a lot of stuff to really make it your own. So, Yeah, gun store owners love customizing pieces. You can talk to them about that. They will talk to you all day about it. They can quote you or refer you. And yeah, I just hope Ramon doesn't need to use it next week. I'm not sure how much of a good shot she is. Well, at least you have it, right? I've never thought of that before, but it's true. Yeah, you can go in and you can get your stuff customized. The people behind the counter at your friendly local gun store should be cheerful, welcoming, knowledgeable, and encourage the teaching of, you know, the proper handling and usage of not just magic cards in a game store, but you know, they might offer concealed carry classes or other things where you go and you learn to use what you have. And I would highly encourage each of you, if you've thought about it, go and do it. The more you learn about it, the less there is to have a general fear or to be coerced by, you know, the back and forth that you get from every election cycle and everything. You go talk to the people who make a living doing it. If you have questions and concerns, bring it up. I guarantee you that they've answered those questions before. If someone walks into the game store and says, does playing D&D really summon demons? I've heard it did. I mean, you know, this ain't our first rodeo. You can ask the awkward questions or the questions of everyone seems to say that and then put it out there, right? If you're seeking knowledge and you're seeking to, you know, improve whatever, whether or not you own a gun, I'm not telling you got to get one if you can. I mean, Osric, you're in Australia and some of you might live in more restrictive places, but, you know, seek knowledge, seek the training and usage of it. So that you'll be better, in the hopes, kind of like Ramon, that you'll have it and never need it. But when you need it, you have it. And you can use it responsibly in that moment. Yeah, ask Batty about customizing firearms. Exactly, Hunter. That's pretty cool, says Pixel. I guess it's because the owners get into the business because they love what they sell, not for the money. And because there are no chain stores. Yeah, it is very much ma and pa. It's small independent businesses for the most part. I mean, they buy from the big manufacturers, but that's exactly what game stores do. I got to buy from Wizards of the Coast like anyone else or other distributors. And so, you know what? If Wizards goes off on a political tangent or does something in their manufacturing process, like, that doesn't reflect the store. It just so happens that they're the manufacturer of the thing that we usually carry. So same thing, right? You know, treat it like that. Go in there, give it a try. Go on a life adventure. If you do in fact have a friendly local gun store, give it a try. And you know what? If the place is dingy and everyone is acting all like antisocial and everything, man, that sucks. And I'm sorry that your local store is like that. But I hope that the people you find behind the counter are enthusiastic, knowledgeable, they'll treat you with respect, and they'll answer any question you have in a very straightforward fashion. And if not, well, you know what? Unfortunately, there's crummy game stores and there's crummy gun stores too. I had a couple shows I watched on shops that customize guns. They were beautiful, says Rosewolf. Commissar Nya says, no, D&D doesn't summon demons, but if you need to summon demons, I know where a Geisha Magic Codex can be bought for real summoning. Osric says, I got a wild host of, I guess that's a wild host of things for home defense. CD says, there's only one person that was against guns that allowed me to take shooting that didn't love them when we were done. That one actually had a nervous condition over loud noises. Rosewolf says, I'd love to see their reaction to that. Oh, wide. Okay. Yep. But anyway, enough about this real life stuff. Now let's talk about what could happen in real life in a fictional dystopia, right? Stop getting reality mixed in with my escapism, everyone. Even though, like what I said, I hope you go on that adventure and find something fun. If you want a Hello Cutie yourself, go and get yourself a Hello Cutie. or paint it green with like cherry or plum blossoms, like an Arizona green tea can or something, and it looks very very nice. Yep, Kitty Bird. That it's a very easy 1, 2, 3. Absolutely. I can't put a shotgun in my arm in reality. Needs more cyberpunk, says Commissar. Well, that could be an interesting challenge for your local store. You know, how to make them and not just kidding around, how to make them more accessible for people who may not be able to use them in the normal fashion, but can still like Commissar. Like I don't know if you mean that because you've had an amputation or something from birth that you can't hold it for one reason or another, but talk to your local gunsmith. There might be a way to make something, if you want to take it up as a hobby, that you can still be safe and accurate with it, but it is customized to your personal needs. Yeah, you could always just stow it in your kidney, like Zeke from the Tuesday game did, right? All right, so what are we doing here? We are going to tell a story, and for funsies, I use the pattern that was given as an example in a pattern that was given an example of in the book, because in the Cyberpunk there are various prompts. So we can have a quick little bit. Oh, thank you, Azazel. A quick little bit of some randomized storytelling, because who knows? The story just might write itself. And we can compare that to another method that I want to show you all, which should not be very complicated nor onerous, in you wanting to make a cool story for the people at your tabletop. So let's do some quick dice rolling first. Kitty Bird the Shiny, I need you to type ! 1d10. You need the 1 in there, 1d10. Just because we do have some variable dice rolling for like a 2d10 or a 3d6 or whatever. Lands on a 2. Alright, so let's, we have hook number 2. Now let's have, CD. CD, can you please, type ! 2d20. The first one will determine if it's, I guess, number 1 through 15 in the first half, or the 1 through 14 on the second half. And the other one will hopefully give us a number between those ranges. We're going to give this a try, and then I'm going to get to what I was more directly going to teach tonight, Commissar. All right, so 9 is going to be the first set of 15, and it's going to be number 3 of those. So let's put 3. Now the cliffhanger to follow here, Commissar, may I please have a 1d20 roll in chat? ! 1d20. No roll, just ! 1d20. Lands on a 6. All right. Can I get a 2d20 from Azazel? Azazel. And speaking of things like pistols, 1911. Azazel, I need a 2d20 roll from you, please. All right. Number 12 in the first half there, so that'll work. We need another cliffhanger, and I would like Artemis Rose Moon to roll 1d20 in chat, please! ! 1d20. All right, we might have lost Artemis Rose. Rose Wolf. Rose Wolf, will you please roll 1d20 in chat? And Azazel, thank you. Lands on an 11. I need one more 2d20 roll. Let's get that. Hunter, JK Hunter Twitch. If you're here, can I please get a 2d20 roll from you? Woo. All right. 3. We're going back to this development. Let's see what that means. All right, Artemis, you are back. I need a 1d3. 1d3 roll in chat. Exclamation point 1d3. And then Osric, will you please type exclamation point 1d10 into chat? Artemis gives us a 2. And let's see what we have here. That's fine. You give us a 6. All right, if we're going to quick generate a story, let's find out what this could mean here. Let's scroll back up because, we're given a basic story outline about making a beat chart, and the example was a hook, development, cliffhanger, development, climax, resolution. So, I'm going to scoot this off to the side, and we have our hook number 2. That is a crisis. The edge runners are immediately embroiled in an ongoing crisis. Some kind of disaster, etc. So let's come down here, and we have a crisis going on. Now, from that crisis, we have development number 3. 1, 2, 3, back from the dead. An old opponent returns from a supposed death. Then we have cliffhanger number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A confrontation is a non-physical fight, a scene where the edge runners face opposition in a verbal combat level. Then we have development number 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A mistaken identity. Then cliffhanger number 11. We go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. A monster. Then we have, we go back to development 3. Uh-oh, Pesquerios. This is Back from Dead. We have like a nemesis thing going on here. Then we have climax number 2. Final battle, final revelation. In the final revelation, the edge runners are gathered together in one place. And like the participants in an Agatha Christie novel, shoutouts to Osric, must decide what's going on and expose the true facts. What was this called? Final Revelation. And then our resolution was number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An ending cliffhanger. So they beat the rival gang and kicked them out of their territory, huh? Just as the Edge Runners are about to break out the smash and celebrate, a nomad convoy rolls down the street and announces they're taking over the neighborhood. An ending cliffhanger is another way to set up for a sequel, but keep the tension on all the way. As with the Edge Runner captured resolution, you might consider spacing out the sequel with another different game first. So let's roll for a cliffhanger. Can I have a Coffee Cat before you go real quick? Can I get a 1d20 roll? Real quick, Coffee. I'm sorry to make you work before you gotta go to bed, but you're gonna earn that sleep. Oh, all right. Out of a possible 15, we got the 15. And Coffee Cat tells us the final cliffhanger of this story is a skirmish. The crew engages in a small battle with the opposition. All right. So a new kind of battle breaks out just when they thought. Just when they thought it was all good. Have a good night, Coffee. Thank you very much. All right, now, if we go back and take a look at our characters, and what did we find about our characters, right? These were the roleplay connections. These were the ways that we were able to get some setting inspiration, some NPC inspiration, villain inspiration, and even adventure inspiration. Is there a way that we can take these prompts, or the prompts that we discovered by comparing them mechanically against each other? Is there a way that we can build a story around the quite possible it writes itself attitude that we take in the workshop? If we're presented a table or a quasi table, could this work into a story somehow? Well, we do have a med tech. There could very well be crisis that starts everything off. We find that in the resolution of that, someone is back from the dead. That could very well be an enemy, or even, oh, you know what? You know who this is? This is the former lover of Chopper the Nomad, who comes back from the dead. She thought that her lover was dead, having to kill her lover herself because she found out too much about the crime family, the Nomad family. That's the development. This leads to a confrontation with the family that leads to the development of a mistaken identity. Wait a minute. Maybe this isn't the lover. Who's piloting this suit that looks like the lover? What's going on? Or is it something else? Or is the confrontation against the person who actually wasn't the one who called the hit? And that's when you find out, oh, it was Uncle so-and-so and not, family rival so-and-so. Then, the monster. The thing, maybe that's actually the thing that was wearing the lover's form, reveals itself. Or it could be the monster is not that, but actually the product of is like a malfunctioning product of the family, right? Then we see that no, the girlfriend or the boyfriend, whatever, is actually back from the dead. This is the real one this time. I don't know, the lover bust out of cryo containment because it activated in the course of the fight or something. Joins them. The final revelation is that the family, like this person, was behind it the whole time. And then right in that moment of, you saved me, I'm safe from the family, I'm out of cryostasis, I want to live my life with you, Chopper. And in this case, the story is maybe more Chopper-oriented. And that can lead into something else. The skirmish could be then a resolution that leads into someone else's arc. Someone else's story of resolving their own personal character. But we have a skirmish, and the skirmish could even be, oh, you've saved me, and I want to live my life with you as I couldn't before. Everything has been revealed. I don't have to worry about dying because I know everything. And then that's when the fight breaks out. The families, the nomad packs realize there's a power vacuum, and there's a coup on board the floating. There's a coup on board the floating the drift city that these nomads are living on. I think for an impromptu round of dice rolling, because we've taken things one step at a time, we've gotten to know the characters that our players want to play. We actually have been able to salvage, and not even salvage, we've been able to develop a really cool set of story beats that you can present that would bring everyone along for the ride and set up for the next story. Have a good night, Hunter. Thank you for participating and hanging out. Commissar Nya says, that sounds sick. I like the idea of the mistaken identity being a face stealer monster, but then the lover actually comes back. Not just random story beats, but actual interpersonal events that would hopefully make the players care. And that's why it's important as the game master. That's as we're role playing right now. That's why it is important to read the character sheets of your players. They're telling you exactly what they want to play. If you're a game master for Cyberpunk Red, your player hands you this character sheet saying, I want to play Chopper. I am a nomad. I'm an air nomad who used to smuggle solos into combat regions. I have been ruthless and self-centered, willing to do bad things if it gets the pack ahead, including needing to take out my lover. And that there's a minor clan of the Arasaka that are gunning for us. Our life goal is we're angry at the people who hurt us, which is the family that made us. We had to kill our lover as punishment for family intrusion. We need to get revenge for our girlfriend that we had to kill. Our family crisis, it's a long-term thing. We come from a gang or family, but we do love and respect a parent. Maybe our only living parent. We don't want people to cross us, however. We believe in honor. So if we're running games for our players, and we have a player who hands us this sheet, they are telling us expressly, I like this. And or I'm willing to roll with it if they randomly generate it. I want to roll with it. Let's see where it goes. They're still telling you, these are excellent prompts. Let's roll with it. Not just random story beats, but actual interpersonal events that... okay, there's that. Having players with high melee skill and never doing sick melee fights in the rain. Missed opportunity, says Commissar. And look at that stuff, too, yeah. if you have someone who's kitted out, now in this case, we have a character who has a base 14 in trading. Chopper the Nomad, somewhere in here, you should feature trading. And we made sure to account for that. In this part of the mechanical comparison of the party, the skills that are listed are base 10. The skills that are in blue are base 14. Meaning that there's a couple extra automatic things that might just happen without necessitating a dice roll. Or that could open up a dice roll that otherwise may have been really off the table. So actually, trading should have been blue. So you made a very good point, Commissar. Right? We have some story beats. Now we can go back, and in between these, we can say, all right, so here's a trading section. Here's, we want to make sure that Butane, our rocker boy, is going to get some action in. And this could be, if the air nomads are coming back to town, to Night City to trade or whatever, then they might want a concert or something, right? He is sent up to deliver a comedy routine to the air nomads. And that brings him up there. What about our med tech? I mean, if they know each other, they might just well be a band. Chopper's going to go back to visit family anyway, because it is very personal. Might bring along Butane as a distraction if there's a plot of revenge, or just because, I don't know, Butane really knows how to tell a good aristocrat's joke. And then our medtech, well, number one, everyone always needs medtech. But what that could be is that in this case, we have not so much a role as an active healer. This person, friend, might actually be brought up to just look at the goods, right? If Chopper's going to go and get some things to fence in Night City as the family's contact there, she needs to know that what she has is good stuff. And so friend can come along and evaluate that. Because friend has a 12 in cyber tech, 10 in basic tech, 10 in first aid, 12 in paramedic, 10 in photography film. Of course, we have surgery as a skill at 4. So we can determine, we know our way around cryo units. So we know if the stuff is good or not, because we've seen it before. We could try test installs of it and that kind of a thing. And you can bring in a lot of these prompts. So I think as an impromptu experiment, we did a pretty good job rolling in the Cyberpunk story chart here, that we actually had some moments of we clutched our pearls, and this is something that's compelling. Now, what is it that I wanted to present that you don't need the charts or anything along those lines? This is much more an approach of everything is rule of cool. Everything is you don't need particular language such as story beats or cliffhanger or development or anything. We're calling this the half-point method, okay? Many times we have, as people who like a good story, a strong opening scene in mind and some kind of a strong closing scene in mind. And in fact, if we wanted something that might be even a little bit broader, not that we can't adapt the top to a longer form story, we discussed that a little bit as we took our delve into our into our characters. Can you imagine this scene? You navigate your way outside of Night City. And there you are with, the barren wastes laying out in front of you. And then, there on the horizon... Hang on, let me find this. Because remember, sensory stuff is important and can really add a lot to the scene. And I want to provide you a very strong opening scene. There, against the rising sun in the east. Hi, Ghost Swarm. Welcome. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it, too. A silhouette. A floating city approaches Night City from the east. Insert the burning finger speech. Behold, the east is burning red, okay? Oh, how'd it go, Ghost? A giant floating Roomba city in the dunes, its engines roaring from miles away, dust plumes kicking up visible in the sky. Yeah, so you hit the music, right? You might open up and, you complete a basic mission. Everyone, is kind of getting used to their characters in a basic sense. It was a basic heist or whatever. The next thing you gotta do, the family's coming. Survive to the edge of the city, survive through the suburbs, and go meet them where this floating city is arriving to trade. Yeah, this hand of mine tells me to grasp victory. What is this? Take this, all my hate, is it hate and anger? I thought it's a mix of emotions. It's like all my hate, all my passion. Shoot, if any of you know the speech, you're welcome to put it in chat. Anyway, so our opening scene is this, right? A floating thousands of people suspended in the air, right? It is the it might not even just be a flying aircraft carrier of S.H.I.E.L.D. This could be a fleet of them. This could be some weird BioShock Infinite, weird like balloons and also like reverse gravity engines and stuff like that. It could be a mix. You describe it. It is grandiose. It is something that has taken you outside of the city. Now, if you remember from last night, we had a character. Before this dramatic moment, let's break it down. Welcome, Raiders, from the Derek who is macabre. Artemis Rose is breaking it down with the ham dance. Hi, Black Wolf. So welcome, and Ravenstar, thank you for the shout out to Macabre Derek, who in his channel, you get what it says on the label. I promise. Travelers from the brutal lands of fatalities, yes. Now, in the discussion last night, we had that moment where Chopper already had to pull the trigger on a lover and even on a family member in her course of revenge against the family that made her kill her lover. And so what happened above is almost like a small resolution to things that could happen here, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. But when it came to it, there is a grand orchestrator, a grand master of things. And looking at the character sheets, you can go back and watch the VOD, or it'll be up on YouTube. But here, our rocker boy Butane was taken in by someone he greatly admires, but who actually has it out, who has actually killed the other performing members in his group, who is a performer himself. So not necessarily a corpo per se, but maybe a very influential old media person. And this is very much the setup for the BBEG of everything that is going on currently. And we had this moment where you have Butane have a breakdown and ask Chopper, what was it like when you held that gun to your family member and pulled the trigger? Because he would have been there for it. He would have been with Chopper when that happened. Now, Chopper probably took a lot more enjoyment or satisfaction out of it, despite it still being a cruel thing to do. But that's not necessarily Butane's not out for revenge. He was betrayed by the very person who raised him off of the streets as the son of combat zoners, took him in and others, gave him an education, let him perform, and then after everything, learned that this same person may very well, actually speaking of, this might very well be It Writes Itself, everyone. Up here with the prompts, we had someone who took faces, right? In that conversation last night, I suggested, what if this old person was actually had actually taken in these kids off the streets, given them a home and an education, but was doing so in order to groom them into becoming his next vessel. He's getting older. He doesn't want to die. And if he has a capable, performing, likable body with a reputation that is all its own, he can keep the secret that, he died, even though he's still living, but he has taken over this other person through some, mind implant or something else. So what happened here, and why is it the floating city might arrive to Night City? They found a way to make this happen. And so the floating city is actually here for that character, but it just so happens Chopper has business on that floating city, and ultimately, what's the end scene? It's Butane. And there's the old man on his knees pleading for his life. And whether or not it's raining, Butane probably has tears coming down his cheeks. Because before him is a monster that has killed people, that has manipulated people. And for how long? He's known this version of this person for this long. How long might have this been going on? Is this the first iteration? And so the story reaches its climax. Maybe even a resolution, but at least a climax. Butane pulls the trigger. Now, these are two very potent scenes. We can feel them. We can hear the sobs in Butane's voice. We can hear the thunder rolling as that gunshot mixes with it. And so too the blood of his foster father and the rain. Just like we can hear and see this grand, beautiful flying city arriving just outside the dark depths of Night City, offering some bright hope. Now the question is, how do we get from one to the other? And in a way that is not stressful. I don't want us sitting here eating pencils. I don't want us sitting here with our head in our hands going, what are we going to do? Ask yourself one question. Yeah, we're going to need a montage. Montage. What happens in between? What is the halfway point that takes us from this grand, optimistic, possibly even life away from the hellhole of Night City? Maybe they could offer a better life in the clouds. To, we are back at Night City. We might even be in the clouds, ironically, right? At the top of a skyscraper. And Butane pulls the trigger. Well, here's a halfway point, if I may. We return to Night City. Right? It makes sense. We've left the city. We have to be back in the city. A good halfway point is the return to it. And now we go, okay, that makes sense. It's simple. It's a moment in time that we can understand. Now, ask yourself this. Ghost Swarm, Rose Wolf, Commissar Nya, Black Wolf. Black Wolf, I know that you enjoy / struggle with writing as well. What's the halfway point between going to a floating city and returning to Night City? What happens? What's the swing in between these two events? I'm only interested in the halfway mark. What happens here? Well, we can look at our character sheets. We can look at our notes. Maybe an encounter on the road. Chopper gets a lead. Because Chopper is on a quest too. Chopper gets a lead. So this first part is almost Chopper's arc, right? This could even be a point from up above if we wanted to. Or we could just say that this point, or in between here, is all of this. But something has to happen where we arrive at the floating city and we return to Night City. Well, if it's a lead, if it's about Chopper, this could very well be the discovery of the new face tech. I want a new face. You know that song? the Psy song, New Face. This is the discover. So here, This is all the romanting, right? Oh, this is marvelous. But Chopper's like, you don't know this place like I know this place. Then let's come over here, and I want you to tell me what happens halfway from our return to Night City and Butane pulls the trigger. What is the halfway point between here? We've returned back to the city. We've presumably, handled the stuff in the clouds. So now it could be similar in composition or power of the discovery of the new face tech. Are they together? We're presuming that the crew is together, that all three of them are together. Yes. Well, if this is the point that leads to a return, and then this has to be the build-up to pulling the trigger, what if this point this is the discovery that it's the foster dad. Now, the nice part about this is we can move these around if we really want to, or if we have a better idea. But don't let that stop you. Keep thinking about this, all right? Now what are we going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing. I want you all to tell me what happens halfway in between arriving at the floating city and the discovery of the new face tech. Well, if it's something like this, it's the return of the return that's actually the face monster. This one's pretty easy. Return of Chopper's lover. Okay. Now what? What happens to take us from discovering the new face tech to the return to Night City? Something has to happen in between here. This is probably going to be yep, Ghost Swarm. This is probably going to be Chopper's family conflict. And they realize as it's time for the floating city to leave, and maybe Chopper was even given the, you can stay, you can command the floating city. And she says, no. That life and business is behind me. Or something along those lines. And that's her hard call. Cool, so we've returned to Night City. Now, I want you to tell me what happens after we return to Night City, but before the discovery of the big bad evil guy. Well, we already know about this new face tech, and we might even have access to it. This is something that Friend might be able to use in order to get money enough to buy himself off of the streets. To get back into that life of luxury, and wouldn't you know, those two might very well be from the same neighborhood. What could lead to the discovery of the BBEG? Oh, of course. It could be something like this. It's the sale of New Face and Friend's return to luxury, bringing the others. Because Friend always went around the neighborhood, knows every place of it, has finally been able to get back to where he belongs after a tough time on the streets as a body sculptor, as a med tech, and trying to get by after sort of being kicked out of paradise because he ruffled feathers that he ought not have ruffled. A punk attack or a spy is caught? Well, then to what end? What information would that reveal, Ghost? Not that it can't happen, but what would be the purpose of it happening? And then we come back here. What's the midway point? What's the halfway point? We have discovered the big bad evil guy, the real identity, and this leads to Butane pulling the trigger. This could very well just be a fight, even. They have to yep, there we go. This is climb the tower. They have to get through security by sneaking, fighting, or something in order to get up there. They might have to even set it up. They might have to manipulate ID cards. Maybe even using the New Face tech or whatever, okay? Heh. If it's called New Face, you could say it's a psyop. Da-da-da-da-da-da. They have to climb the tower. They got to fight their way up. This is the Shinra building. Which way do you want to go? Right? You got to do the puzzles of where the guards are marching. You got to fight. You got to, whatever, read the books to get the password. There's all sorts of stuff you could do here. But they got to climb the tower so Butane can pull the trigger. And every time that you look at this, you're getting to become familiar with the course of events that will seemingly naturally play out, but you've handled it one step at a time, reasonably. This gives you room to adjust if the players don't do as you had planned. Because when do the players ever do what you plan? When do they ever? And we can continue doing this. We can take it in what we'll do. We could do kind of one more round, so you can see what it is I'm getting at. And you can make this as straightforward or as complicated or convoluted as you may want it to be. So now we have our green lines going up. And we can type in green text. Yeah, they don't go. Would that it would, although that's more like writing a book than playing a role-playing game. So there are some reasonable expectations we should have to allow for some deviation of one form or another. So what happens between the floating city arrives to trade and the return of Chopper's lover? This is trading. It's market stuff. This is market and discovery. All right, I guess I'll put trade for short because I got to leave room for the other notes. What happens in between the return of Chopper's lover and the discovery of the New Face tech? This is going to be conflict with the family. Or no, I'm sorry. That's the Chopper's family conflict is like that's when it comes to the head. So this is right before the discovery of the New Face tech, which is kind of the mistaken identity monster. So this would be finding out who Oh, probably finding her beloved parent. Now we've discovered the tech, the mistaken identity, and the monster. Chopper's family conflict? What happens here? Easy. The lover actually returns. So then we have the conflict with the family. Is this what you've been smuggling? Is this what you've been doing? Where do you find this? And then we return to Night City. This is probably that story beat that Chopper is offered leadership and denies it. And then we return. This is just MS Paint, Rosewolf. Nice and easy. This is just paint. No modifications. I opened up a new canvas. This is the basic palette and tools. And there we go. We've taken off running. I try and keep things as simple as possible in my presentations, so it's as accessible to as many people as I can make it. Because there's a lot of really cool, fancy writing tools and programs, World Anvil, all sorts of stuff. And those are great. I'm not telling you not to use it, but those are things that I want you to engage with after you understand the fundamental nature of what you're doing. Because otherwise, if you dive right in and there's bells and whistles and it's asking you about a lot of stuff straight up, you might be confused by the tech, by the language, or the expectation of what the software is asking you, instead of just writing. Just create. Get it out there. Put your Legos on the table, build it, and if you don't like it, tear it apart and build something else. Then worry about the fancy tackle box to keep it organized. But for right now, your Legos have got to be out on the table. Would they come across someone using the new face tech, but it goes wrong? Yeah, we'd probably see that. Well, that's probably what happens for the monster conflict in the very top. But we could see that because that is going to build into the final confrontation, Ghost Swarm. Because that is what the BBEG, that's what Butane's adoptive father ultimately wants to replace, because he's dying, because he's going to take over Butane. So we return to Night City, and then there's a sale of New Face. This is going to get it more into a story beat for Friend. And possibly Friend's partner actually becomes lover. It's no longer just hinted in the backstory from the very beginning. And what this means is that Friend wants to settle down and return back to his roots inside the walled part of the city. He's very outgoing. He's very optimistic. He's not like a lot of other people in Night City. He firmly believes he can return there. You know, he wants to go back with his lover, have a pile of kids, and live a good life. Now this becomes the impetus to sell the tech and to return to that part of the city. So what happens? We sell the goods. That means we get money. That means very easily the discovery of the BBEG. We do some things in Night City that will get us back and returned. Our credentials or whatever happens. This is probably when we reestablish contact with the adoptive father. The adoptive father has seen, look at how much stuff Butane has been a part of and knows. If anything, that could even be dangerous. So the adoptive father provides the recommendation, whatever resources. Yeah, let's get him in, because right now they might know too much, or he can learn from them and then dispose of them, because that's what he's done before. Now they're in. They're in the walled city. They've returned to paradise, just like this floating city. Oh, life is good. And that's when they discover, that's when Butane starts seeing the cracks in the mask. Cracks in the wall of the city. His dad, the whole time, has been plotting his death. Not even just that. It's easy enough to just die. Has been plotting not only ending Butane, but taking not taking his life as in killing him, taking his entire life, his reputation, his friends, his enemies, everything. Every Eurobuck he's earned, every experience he's had is going to be that is arguably worse than death. Because you don't even get your own death, because it's not you anymore. So now something needs to cause us to go from the discovery of the big bad evil guy to climb the tower. What is going to steal us to take on the guards, to overcome the traps, to overcome all of this? That could even be something like we can go back to the beginning where we fight a monster. Maybe one of Friend's contacts in some way, whether it's a friend or an enemy, has been, because remember, he was the stray, he was the scamp, he was the crazy naked kid that runs around in your neighborhood every summer, right? Maybe that person, as a test for this technology, is used against Friend. And Butane can't take this because it shatters Friend. It dehumanizes Friend, and that's Friend's major strength, is his humanity. So a friend of Friend is New-Faced. And then we ask ourselves, we've climbed the tower, we've overcome the traps, we've overcome the guards, we've solved the puzzles, we've pew-pewed or done everything that we can. What happens after climbing the tower and Butane pulls the trigger? I mean, there could be a fight that leads to the submission of the old man. We could put that down. Fight or... a fight or some sort of moralizing monologue. Now, you want to get bonkers with this? Put a midpoint in between these points on the bottom. Stretch it out. Or at some point, collapse the drawing into an outline and just put the words going vertically, if that's easier for your brain to process. You all are going to process this information differently, because some of you are much better organizing words. Some of you are much better organizing ideas. If you see it written down, it gets too complicated. You have devices in your brain set up to organize ideas. Some of you are more artistic, and you need to see not just the words, but you have to have shapes and colors associated with it. I don't know the best way that you learn, but I can try and provide you of examples in different ways to process the information. How did we process our mechanical examination of the party? How did we process our SWOT analysis? How did we process our roleplay comparison of our party members to find the potential story beats out of all of these? And then, through either suggestions, right out of the Cyberpunk book, it's all here around page 400, everyone. If you're playing along at home, you know, get your book, get your official PDF, and look what we've been able to do. We loaded up Paint. This is the default bread and butter. Everyone should have this. And it shouldn't be too hard to learn how to do this either. And if you need help, come over to Discord. We have a mentor section, and I'll be happy to show you how you can do this too. But look at what we did, both by randomizing rolls of suggested hooks, developments, cliffhangers, climaxes, and resolutions. And also look at what we did over the course of maybe 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, with just Paint and one idea at a time, and asking ourselves what happens in between these 2 points. What happens? We rock out. Woo, yeah! Does this make sense to you all? Do you have any questions? You're absolutely allowed to ask questions. Or you could go, Matt, you're bonkers. This is how does anyone think like this? Literally the worst stream ever. 0 out of 10, unsubscribe, unfollow. I don't know how you're in this business. That's cool. I mean, give me feedback, right? But hopefully for a lot of you, maybe if you never thought of yourself as a storyteller, if you take it nice and slow, all we did this entire process, this whole month, is just one step at a time. At first, we picked up the book and said, that looks cool. And then we said, well, how do things generally work? Okay. How do things generally look? Okay. Well, that's enough to make characters. I'm interested. You got me. We made one character at a time, using the 3 different ways to make characters. Nice and easy. No speed bumps or anything. It's all by the book. We made these characters. Then we sat down with these characters, pretending as a game master that our friends and family, our 3 players, handed us these characters and said they really want to play them. Can we please play Cyberpunk now? And we go, yes. Let me take a look at your characters so I can understand them, and let's try and find a juicy original story to tell in the setting that we want. Whether it's Night City, this made-up floating nomad city, a fusion of both, down in the streets and in the upper levels of the premier corporate penthouses. Our journey has taken us throughout Night City, outside of it, above it, beyond it, back into it, through it, and then up Night City itself. We have come so high to be brought so low in that moment when Butane's player has to pull that trigger. Because the man that he loved and admired and who gave him everything, being adopted out of a combat zone, was the monster the whole time. We've been able to shoot guns, swing baseball bats, we've traded for exotic goods, we've traveled and explored, we've involved ourselves in politics. We've done a lot of stuff as this crew of 3. And it's taken us on a journey of excitement, of puckering up tension, and even of tears. Of happiness, Chopper gets reunited with her girlfriend. Of sadness, of Butane ending his relationship with his dad. And not in the way that he wants. But he has to. Because if this doesn't happen, then his dad is going to go on and continue to do this to other people. This randomized process has taken us everywhere. Upside, inside, everywhere. Live in that Vida Loca, all right? Yeah, it's been broken down effectively as a list, Ghost Swarm. And for as dark and gritty, or you're like, yeah, I want the rainy nights and the neon streets, you get that. You still get that with what we've done. But you also get the feels. You get the meaningful interaction. You get the character development more than just, I get to shoot my guns more accurately now. Or or the rocker boy gets to sleep with one more groupie. Which can be fun. Use those role abilities. I don't know about you all. All my favorite stories make me feel feelings. They make me question things. You know, my moral standings or judgment calls, even on fantastic or fictional situations. At the end of Chroma Company... Hi, Clicker. Good morning to you. At the end of Chroma Company, despite me knowing for a very long time pretty much how it was going to end, do you know how emotionally devastated I was? As the storyteller, as the person who orchestrated everything, I wrecked myself in the story. I wrecked myself. But to me, I got to feel feelings, so to me that's the sign of a good story. You know, when you look back on it all. And so I hope now you get to see, all of you, there's 36 of you here right now. And I know Critical Role's over, so I don't know if we're going to see any more. Especially because we're in tabletop and not D&D right now. All 36 of you, I want you to know you have this ability. That story is inside you. Hi, Vale. That story is inside of you, and you can tell it. The world is not for want of wonders. It is for want of wonder. With as much of the, in my opinion, you do not have to share this, but as someone who's in the trenches of pop culture, with as much creative bankruptcy as we have seen out of the producers of entertainment in pop culture, the world is in need of this wonder. Each of you have a story in your heart that you can grow. Just like that little small of Dancing Above. You can nurture it, you can plant that seed, you can water it and grow it. And even if it's for 4 people at your dinner table every 2 weeks, you can fill the void that is left by the lack of creativity being sluiced out of the large entertainment outlets that exist. It is up to you. You have to be the one to do it. Because it's clear other people aren't, can't, or something else. And I want this to light a fire under your butt. You have to be the creative one. You have to tell the story. This is why I'm here. This is why I run this channel. This counts as a soapbox on bingo, by the way, everyone. This is a soapbox. It has to be you. And while there's 36 people watching, I'm talking to just you. Yeah, you. Yeah, you watching right now or listening. And I want to give you the tools and the confidence. I want to give you the springboard and the ideas. If this is how you start, but 2 years from now, you go, oh, that's quaint. I actually use this other service that provides blah, blah. Cool. Oh, my heart is happy. Because this is that moment where you realized you can do this and you should do this. Because the ability to tell a story, that is our gift as a species. That and I say this often, with maybe the exception of opposable thumbs, that is our unique trait as a species. To enjoy and even to tell a good story. And you got one in you. And I hope some way, someday, somehow, some live, some die, it's the way of the samurai, that you are going to tell that story. And that's why there's mentors on Discord. That's why I broadcast what I do, why I'm the weirdo in the D&D or the tabletop channels. Not that I don't run that, at least, you know, we got our Cyberpunk 3-part and whatnot. I'm the weirdo who doesn't do that stuff in those categories. I'm the random guy on Twitch who has paint open to make maps or to give you writing techniques. Because you gotta be the one to do this. No one else can and no one else will. No one else is. I hope that motivates you, everyone. We have... is it Gerbo Adamer? Or Gerboa Tamer? What is... Or I guess that's what if. What if our story has already been told and now we have allowed ourselves to live a life of boring complacency? Then I don't think it's possible to have your story already be told because it's yours. And it can only ever be your story to tell. Are there similarities between stories? Of course. There's the monomyth. There's just plain old thematic storytelling. You know, how many Final Fantasies are Star Wars in a different skin? But we find entertainment and attachment to Star Wars in different ways. Or detachment, depending on the era we're talking about. Or Final Fantasy, right? As much as there's the old quote of there's nothing new under the sun, there's things that are still different enough. There is your take on a tale. There's your take on a concept, your take on a genre. And if there are some specifics about what you had in mind, Gerbo, that you wanted to tell, and it's been told that exact way by someone else, I think you're still going to find a way forward. I think you're going to find a way that you can polish your tale to be even better than what was presented. Or you go, you know what? That was actually really cool. That has actually scratched the itch that I had, and I feel inspired for something else. But there is always that opportunity out there, my friend. And I appreciate you asking that question. You know, if you like the grim fairy tales, do you also like Aesop's fables? Do you like parables from the Bible? Do you like other myths and legends being told to you? Let me tell you how much those are pretty much the same story over and over again, just with some different window dressing. And yet you like them each for their own morals, values, or the unique presentation that delivers the message in a fresh new way that you hadn't considered. Ghost says, now with the storytelling, can you use real-time countdowns? Like, they have 2 minutes real-time to get the subject done? Can you clarify that a little bit, Ghost? Like, do you mean like in-game, like the players have 2 minutes to solve a puzzle or something? Rosewolf says, or even take that story and do a what if. What if this happened instead? Yeah. In-game, yeah, a lot of people use hard timers. And the way you do that, you just set up a spreadsheet and you know what your bad guy's doing at every point in time. Because the bad guy's going to do what the bad guy's going to do. And so you just set up the course of events. You say the bad guy is going to win after 90 days. And you just have the list of events that are going to happen over 90 days. And every day in game that happens, as the players are doing what they're doing, they're either going to dick around and the day's going to get lost, or they're going to make progress, and they might start coming close or even intersecting over the bad guy's plans, which could set it back, delay it, or at least catch them on to the progress of the big bad evil guy. And then the deviation from the story. The story is about what the bad guy does. The action follows the heroes. The deviation from the story starts getting tighter and tighter towards the end. The more that they're kind of looping around it and they find themselves entwined. Ain't no sleep for the wicked. That's right, Tamashi Saka. Sleepy time for Nuzzly Sheep. Well, Fluffy, thank you for joining in. I hope you had a good lurk. I will see you. I mean, if you're not lurking again at some point, I'll definitely be seeing you on Tuesday. I am insufficiently wicked. There's always time, Fluffy. There's always time.